is going to be able to. Yeah. Okay, so November 28th, welcome to our meeting. We're starting at 6:03. I'm calling the meeting officially to order. Is there any guest input? Anyone that wants to speak on anything that's not on the agenda?
There is not.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Delene. Okay, so I
Hello.
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting. I did go over them, but I was not here, so I couldn't verify anything. So
I just want to get one clarification on the discussion of the NRV trail planting. I talk about there was no specific species. There was no planting. Just clarify that it wasn't that they weren't labeled, there just was no planting along the trail itself. Saved a couple trees in the parking area.
do we know where that is in the minutes?
Yeah.
Second page 3, middle paragraph.
To make it a
Middle
little
paragraph, middle paragraph.
Okay.
That's
Starts with the plan did include above it. That did not include any specific species, didn't include any planting.
any plantings. Okay, so get rid of the specific species.
Yeah, there was no planting, and I want it there as a matter of record that kind of project could get done without planting. $2.9 million project gets approved with no planting along the side of it except for grass. I don't understand.
Okay.
That was sarcastic, Paul.
Yeah,
No, this is real.
I picked up on that.
That is real.
Mr. Yosak is no longer here.
It defies me how that could happen.
Other than that, are the meeting minutes with that change approved? Does someone second?
I didn't get a chance to read them, honestly. So I probably shouldn't.
Paul, it's all on you.
I can't vote.
You can't vote. I mean, I can second. I suppose I can second, right?
Okay, I accept the meeting minutes with that change, and Peter seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Is this number 4 item Brett?
Yes.
Okay, so Brett is a civil engineer, and we are going to let him introduce himself. So thanks for being with us, and nice to meet you.
Sure, thank you. Nice to meet all of you. My name is Brett Holsworth. I'm with Redness and Mead, for civil engineers, surveyors, land use planners. I'm representing Wall Street Place. You may colloquially know it as POCO, the Tyvek Temple. It goes by a lot of names nowadays, but it's the partially constructed property on Wall Street and Isaacs Street. That we have been working kind of in the background for several years trying to get this up and running. I don't know if you've heard in papers or anything like that, but we are pushing forward towards construction, getting that moving along again. There's a lot of conditions of approval, zoning approvals that we're kind of checking the boxes for. We have submitted to the building department for a building permit. So that was a huge, step in the right direction to get this project up and running. I'm here tonight because of one of the conditions of the zoning approval was to get your blessing on the street trees that we are proposing along the frontage of the property. So with that, I will share my screen. All right. So you guys can see okay this plan?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sure. So just a brief overview of the whole project. So this is on the corner of Wall Street and Isaacs Street, in kind of the downtown area. Isaacs has this odd bend and it kind of dead ends to nowhere. There's some parking lots around there. There's some other smaller retails. And there's two components of the project. The partially constructed building on Wall Street that we call Wall Street Place North. And then this new building that we are proposing is Wall Street Place East. This used to be the former site of the Garden Cinema property. That building has now been demolished, and the site is getting ready for for construction, which will begin next year. So for the plantings, we worked with the town to develop a very typical streetscape along our frontage, the few feet on Wall Street, with 4 trees on that section, and then continuing the all new frontage along Isaac Street with tree wells and light posts, all new sidewalk, all new curbing, all new street amenities, all the way around the corner, where there's going to be an entrance to the garage right in this area, a loading dock for garbage, and then some transformers for electric utilities, and then continuing the street frontage all the way down to the corner of Isaac Street. And then on the other side of Isaacs, there's not a whole lot of frontage, but we were able to fit two trees along this small section of the road. Now what you're seeing here is a pedestrian crosswalk and the entrance to the garage of this building. So in the back, although it's not on the frontage, but I'll just mention it, we do have some green areas along here. This is the railroad area. This is probably 20 feet down below from where the site is. We're putting some arborvitae for screening along that section. We have a sitting garden that has some benches and some shrubs and some more arborvitae along that back area. So for the street trees, we looked at the lists that Paul provided to us, and we provided 2 different species of trees along the frontages. The October Glory red maples are mostly along Wall Street, and then this small section of Isaacs. And then the rest are the American lindens along this side of Isaac Street, and then around the corner and down to the end of the street. Per the list, those are the on the list of the approved street trees. The red maple is up here, and the American linden. And we just wanted to get your blessing on it, and that I'm here to answer any questions. I will admit I'm not a arborist or licensed landscape architect, but I can try to field as many questions as you may have, but just wanted to give you the presentation and see if you have any comments.
So overall, how many trees are going in? What's the total?
So the total is between the 2 frontage trees, it's 25.
5, yeah,
And then the evergreens are
13. Okay,
and
awesome.
yeah, and if you recall, I don't know if anyone recalls what this used to look like before this building was here, but it was a parking lot. So it did not have any trees. There were some small buildings on the Wall Street corner, and it was a municipal parking lot. So we didn't remove any trees when that was going in. And similarly with the Garden Cinema, it was a theater building and a parking lot. So you know, these are all added trees.
Awesome. And when do you expect to get them in the ground? When are you thinking?
So construction will probably overall for the whole construction project, it'll probably begin next spring, so spring of 2024. There's obviously a lot of work that needs to go into both of these buildings, you know, to finish the north and to construct, frame, you know, build out these. And typically, you know, the street frontage is towards the later end of construction, just so, you know, you need access getting to the site. So we were looking at probably the whole duration of the project is about 18 months. So we would be looking at the fall of 2025. So it would probably be in the range of spring or fall of 2025 would be when these trees would be installed.
So Brett, you got a pencil?
Sure.
Okay, so we're using red maples on Wall Street. What was the rationale for that decision?
I'm not really sure. It was the rationale was they're on the list and you know they're nice blooming trees, but I couldn't tell you specifically why those trees were selected.
Okay, currently there are 2 ginkgos, Princeton centuries in front of the building. The street is lined with Princeton century. Why the change in tree species? Is there something different going on that we need to be aware of? Why wouldn't you keep the same tree species on the street?
It's an excellent question. And you know, we'd be happy to swap out the species of tree to mimic the rest of the to match what's out there today.
So part of that question is, because we have 2 out there now, would they be able to be retained, or do they get removed and replaced? Right now, this plan replaces those. Is there a geometry where they could retain themselves? Right now, I believe they're on the bump out at the corner. So I'd like to see if they are retainable, because they are of the same age of the trees on the street today. They were all planted at the same time.
Okay. I do know that in order to kind of reconfigure the bump out, the geometry is changing on the intersection. We are expanding on the curb and pedestrian ramps. And you know, the alignment of the trees weren't conducive to I believe there's proposed a bus stop in this area, which was in the way of the trees. I can.
Okay, I mean, a bus stop versus trees, the trees win in my mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are the trees that we're talking about, right?
So the objection to using a different tree is one. Red maples are very heavily canopied for that street. I don't know if you see them going on in front of the Sono collections. Below them, they're kind of they're not doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
The American lindens along the side street, American linden's a great tree for streets. The question is which variety. There are multiple varieties of lindens. Given the way the list is, the contract will come in with a Crimean linden. Someone will say, okay, they're too low branched, so we need specificity on which variety.
Peter, are you willing to maybe shoot an email out to Brett with a couple of your suggestions? Because it doesn't seem to me that Brett's married to any of these trees. It seems like
I
Paul just
I
gave
un-
him this whole
I
list. and he
understand, but
picked.
I'm doing public, this is public. record. Because I think that there needs to be a little more specificity for those trees. On Isaac Street, I would personally have no objection to the lindens. They're a good street tree. We have them in South Norwalk. They can be pruned readily. What do you got behind the building, Brett? You got lindens, I think, as well.
We have lindens that go around, that wrap around all the way to the end.
Okay.
And then there are two species that we call out for the red maples in front of this street. But again, you know, if you would prefer to switch that to lindens or another species, we're very
I don't know, maybe the advisory could be, I mean, the lindens are fine. I don't know if we want to see variety of species, maybe alternating, but I mean, the lindens are fine.
Remind us what's there right now, Peter?
Nothing, nothing.
No, the ones that
Oh,
you said on wall that are already.
On Wall Street, it's ginkgos.
Oh,
They're Princeton Century ginkgos. They're picked for visibility of the signage, et cetera, for, you know,
mhm.
durable and that difficult.
And male ginkgos, of course, right?
Yes, and Princeton Century.
Yes.
I know the number of, I don't really looking at the design for the arborvitae on the east side, is it, of the building? They just seem a little thin. You have them kind of sized at the size of shade trees, but they're really much smaller.
Mhm.
I would suggest that you do an alternating row where you plant it heavier. If you're trying to screen the building, well, I'm not sure what the design objective is there. If you're trying to
I mean,
building from commerce, or if you're trying to screen commerce from the building, I don't know.
yeah, there to be honest, there's really not to be screened. You know, the other side of Commerce Street is you know, 20 feet below our building, and then the train tracks in between. So, you know, this was just to add a little bit of a greenery and to, you know, not continue and not allow really people walking in between. And there are walls and everything there too.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know why you're not carrying them around the front corner. I'm not sure what's going on in the front.
there are that's where all our utilities are running. Power, electric, gas, water, everything is going to be in this corridor. So we're not going to be able to provide any plantings in there.
All right, but that is, I'm assuming that's a ground cover or lawn, given the.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yep.
I'm just pointing out so the committee's members can see that as well. So, aside from the varieties, what are the actual details in the tree planter pits? And Paul, I don't know if you can get those, and we can look at them off, you know, independently of this discussion.
Yeah, we can.
issue,
It would
but
be
is
nice
that-
to see the tree pit shown on the drawing, so the detail is there for the planting. That way
Okay.
there, it gets planted properly.
I could pull up, I believe we did have a second plan for
I mean, we can comment independently on that if you like. The issue is that there's usually insufficient soil depth for trees on streets.
okay.
And given the volume and the cost of this project, there should be no reason why we can't have good soil to good depth under the sidewalks as well. So I'm curious what is being planned in terms of details for those trees.
Okay.
Because we want them to succeed. And along with that is there a water supply? Is irrigation anticipated? I believe Sona collections, they're irrigated. I believe what are our waypoint? I believe those trees are irrigated. Do we have irrigation in these tree pits?
To be honest, I do not recall us having any specification for irrigation. So I will have to look at the rest of the projects to see if we have irrigation, because I don't believe it is currently specified to have irrigation.
So, full disclosure, but I work on Wall Street, so I'm fairly familiar with the site. I've
Sure.
also seen drought here in the last 2 years where there's no ability to get water to things on the street.
Yep,
And they're small cost given the size of this project.
sure. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so apologies, but I'm trying to find the location of our second page of the
Mhm.
landscape plan.
While
So,
you're looking for that, Brett, well, what I can do is I can share with you offline, I can share with you our city tree planting details too, so that you can put those into the package.
I think I just found it. So this
Okay.
this is L2. I know I didn't submit this to you, but this is on our package that we submitted for building permit. So this I believe is the city standard detail, but you can tell me if there's anything more. We are incorporating the flex pave, for the tree well. And it has 5 feet square for the for there. I'm not seeing an actual depth of planting unless I'm
Right.
mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Paul, maybe the comment is slightly not necessarily here, just so the committee can understand the difference in volume of the tree. Tree was typically would like about 1,400 cubic foot of soil. If I look at that tree pit, it's 5 foot by 5 foot, 25 square foot by 5 foot deep. How much volume is that? It's not a lot. So just the magnitude and the importance of the soils to be noted. I don't know, what we might be able to do.
If the root ball is 3 feet and it's 6 inches under it, that would give you only about 87 and a half cubic feet of soil.
As opposed to 1,400. It's just a ratio we use, Brett.
Okay,
Try to get the maximum we can.
right.
Um,
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know what we can do to
Yeah,
improve.
I guess we would just have to make it deeper though. We're kind of tied to a pattern of street tree
I-
and
You
brick.
Plot, I don't know if you have the details for Waypoint, but I believe those planters are shared. I believe that the
I'd
planters,
have to dig them out. Yeah, I'd have to get them out of the files.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think that every 2 trees is in a larger pit and the paving goes between them kind of thing. It'd be interesting if we could, do something like that here.
So
Because
to have 2 trees right next to each other and then
it's
the light pole kind of on the other side.
I know Paul might be able to pull the details. It might be that the paving is larger around the trees. I don't know. They're tough to get.
Yeah, I mean, I know our office did work on Waypoint as well. I wouldn't be able to find it, during this call, but I can certainly dig up what was done at that place.
I mean, the old way of planting trees isn't necessarily proved itself to be workable. We lose trees too often.
Right. Perhaps.
Brett, one of the things that I just want to ask about too is what's going to be on the first floor of these buildings too? Because when Peter looked at picking the ginkgos 15 years ago for Wall Street, obviously he picked them for a reason because of the being a landscape architect. He picked them because of the columnar shaping, getting them up above the signage so that people weren't cutting branches off and things like that. Are there going to be signs on the first floor?
Yes, there's gonna be retail along the whole frontage. There will be, doors and entrances along the whole frontage. As you go towards the corner where it gets very narrow, these will be facades of frontages because with very little building behind it. So yeah, I can show you a rendering. This is kind of what our concept would be. This is the corner of Wall Street on the left, on the right, and then Isaac's going down. So,
The way the trees are in the rendering is exactly why I'm asking the question. You see where they're limbed up above the glass and the facade?
mhm.
Do we want to pick species just to make sure that we don't have issues with the branches down the road and you get them up high enough? And
So the lindens allow themselves to get pruned up, but getting them and in the plant list, you might need to specify that they come in at 5 to 6 foot clear, lowest branch. We'd like to see 7 foot. You start with 7, that's tough to get sometimes.
Is there some way that Brett can submit this plan as it was submitted to zoning so that we can all take a little bit of a closer look and continue with some of these suggestions in one email, so he's not bombarded with multiple emails from different people? We kind of put them all together and get back to him all at once. Because I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one here. I would have loved to have seen some of this before. So maybe if you would allow us, Brett, to just kind of digest this, if you will, and get back to you. I apologize that you were given a full list of trees without, some direction, but
Right.
I think Peter's one of the best people to give that because of his background. And like he said, because he is in that area so often, he knows what would work really well there and thrive in that area. So does that sound like a good game plan, guys?
I think that's fair.
yeah, and maybe
Okay.
what we could do is get it, and I funnel all of the comments to me and then I can send them to Brett. And then if we want to, maybe have them come back in January just to present.
That's
And
fine.
Brett, we understand you're just a messenger.
Yeah,
You're just a messenger guy.
I understand, it's a process. We go through a lot of these kind of applications. Truthfully, this is the first time I've presented to a tree advisory committee, but usually we do zoning boards and wetlands. I could tell you, our team is willing to work with you guys. We want to make it thrive as much as you do, obviously, and with your expertise and know-how of what goes best along these streets, we're certainly willing to work with you on that. So
The good
Awesome.
news is,
Brett,
we're not sitting where the trees, they're there. If you came in with the trees on a plan.
So
Yeah.
Brett, if you go to the City of Norwalk Tree Advisory Committee website, there's a link there where you can email all of us at the same time, just to save you a little
Okay.
time and effort. And then as we get our comments into Paul, we'll set, a deadline amongst ourselves where we have to get comments to him so that he can put them in one email and turn them around to you.
sure.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
So before we go though, just if we start redesigning, would you prefer to see the 2 trees, kind of like what Waypoint is, or is there a
I think let's first look at the waypoint detail.
yeah, okay,
They want to go into redesign necessarily. I think the arrangement looks rational.
yeah,
Mhm.
because there's a pattern to the trees
Yeah.
and the light posts that we want to.
Correct. It's the infrastructure issue that it's what's going on below grade. It's always
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot going on in.
there's more utilities out there than I think we're aware of.
Far
Well, I'm
more.
aware of them. That's what I usually do. I'm the utility and drainage person on the job, so I know full well there's a lot of stuff going on under
Going
there.
on underground there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, Brett, thanks again for presenting to us, and we look forward to working with you.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Brett.
Awesome. I think we're gonna skip over agenda item 5 as Jim is dealing with a family issue. We all wish him well. And we'll move on to and any updates that you have, Paul, with the tree planting programs? We could see all of the addresses here for the 227 trees. Was there anything in particular that you wanted to point out?
Basically, we've got almost all of these in the ground. There's about 10 or 15 left that the Minutemen have to take care of. And in summary, what we've ended up doing with this 227 trees, it was $166,334 is what the bill will end up being for this in total. Some of it being paid for out of different pools of money. And just to give you a quick update on the overall year now that we have this in place, spring we did 294. So in total for calendar year 2023, we planted 521 trees. And the spring was 233,322.25. So for the 521 trees, it brings the total to 399,656.25. Just wanted to mention that because of the amount of money and investment that the city has made through grants and other ARPA funding and also capital budget funding that the city has made into planting trees now. It's a huge difference based on what we've had in the past.
Awesome. So we are doing a great job, guys. Translation.
We've been able to spread them around quite a few different areas, as you can see from South Norwalk, some of the areas where we're doing sidewalk projects on Spring Hill Avenue, Senga, Morton, and then we've got some other areas that we're doing. Tyrone Drive was another area that we had one of the tree liaisons who had worked with us. So we were able to spread it around quite a few of the areas around the city. And then Jeff also had some input on the Martin Luther King trees too.
Awesome. All right, great. Thank you, Paul. Is Olmsted still doing watering this time of year?
They
I'm looking at
are
number
supposed
7.
to be doing it, but they haven't had to do a lot of it because of the weather. We've gotten so much rain that both Olmsted and Minutemen, this would be the last report for them at this point in time for November until April per their contract. They are still doing some here and there, but they haven't had to do a lot of it because of the weather.
Awesome. Okay. And an update with Minutemen Lance. Oh, the tree watering. Okay, so you gave that already. And then again, I'm not sure why my name is always here for tree liaisons, but Gay, did you have anything that you wanted to toss into the mix? Anything you're working on? Anything you're looking at for planting in your area?
Well, I've been working with Paul for the past month. So Temple Shalom Cemetery there, Beth Israel, United Congregational Church. And you said that those have been planted. I haven't met in that way, Paul, so I presume those are in now. And those are 28 trees there. And I guess the question was at 220 Richards, which is Temple Beth Memorial. I think there were questions there, Paul, about whether or not you had that special permission to dig within those bushes that were lining the road. Did they say no? Yes, is that on hold?
It's still being talked about. And I
Okay.
wanted to see also too what Peter and Rich had to say about
Okay.
it's a row of junipers.
Right.
Basically, that the cemetery management has no problem with us if we wanted to cut like 5 feet out of it and then put a tree in that section. We could get several trees in there, probably about 5 total. But it means cutting a section of the juniper out, and then those edges on both sides end up looking like.
God.
So we just want to see and make sure everybody's okay with what it's going to look like in the very end versus what we think it's going to, a lot of people think it might be just okay to do it, and it's not going to really make it look that bad until they see it.
Which cemetery is that?
That's the Temple Beth Memorial. And so cutting out the sections of the junipers and stuff, it's going to look terrible for a year until the bushes start filling in, and then it'll look better. But we were going to put some tulip trees in there since they're currently, I think, 1 or 2 tulip trees, if I remember, and kind of continue that look along, if that's correct, Paul.
That's what we were talking about doing.
Okay.
And I talked with Vanessa and a couple of the people here about that, and we just
Right.
wanted to be very careful because everybody kind of knows that it's not going to look good for a year or so.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Peter?
I have to look at it. I mean, junipers versus trees, the trees win. Because the trees are there for 100 years, the junipers could be, but they usually look ratty if they're not well taken care of. I'm
These
not
are-
visualizing where it is. I have to see it.
So it's a long row of juniper hedges that they have clipped, and they keep them up to date, so it's pretty good. We're going to be cutting out a 5-foot section from the juniper bushes and putting in the trees right center in the middle of it. And then they're going to keep the juniper bushes trimmed. They're going to look bad and brown for a while, but then they're going to trim the juniper bushes to allow the area around the tree, in theory, to continue to grow.
So the spacing has to work with the trunks of the juniper as well. Just
Right, and
Yeah.
we thought it was 5 feet, I think was the designated.
you probably should be able
Yes.
to. I mean, should be able to work.
What do you think it's going to look like? And will it come back and will it fill in those areas, Peter?
I don't know. That's what the question is. How big are they and how much sun are they going to get? And it may not matter. I mean, it may be okay because the trees have a long-term advantage over the juniper. And probably
that's-
they'll shade them out in 30 years anyway.
Okay.
The 28 trees that were already put in, do we have pictures of those?
8. The 28.
I thought I wrote down 28 trees. What was recently planted? Again, what were you saying? I'm sorry, did you say 8? I made it 28.
Oh, I was just counting the trees that we had approved for Richards Avenue, not the entire.
Oh, got it.
Maybe I wasn't
Okay.
clear about that. It's just for the ones mostly around Richards Avenue,
Understood.
with the
Speaking of
exception of what we're
Uh-huh.
talking about now. Sorry.
Got it. No, okay, I misunderstood. Sorry. So speaking of Richards Avenue, Paul, Rich is not here. So do you know if those trees went in on campus?
I had sent Olmsted an email asking them to let us know so that they could coordinate with you for the planting. And by the next day, they'd already planted them.
So that's a yes. That's okay. I don't
They're
care.
planted.
So it's a
but
yes.
They're already in the ground, but I was hoping to get them to plant them and organize it so that you could be there with the students like you wanted to.
Right. That's okay. That's not the end of the world. The most important thing is that they were planted. So how many trees were planted and do we have pictures of them?
The 4. I don't have pictures of them here, but the 4 trees were planted. Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 on each side of the road.
Okay. I'd love to get pictures, if you said you took them already, because this is a great opportunity with the row of trees we put along West Cedar to, get some great publicity through CT State.
Okay. I can get some pictures of those. I've got them.
Awesome.
And Erica, they're also
Yeah.
well away from the sculptures, because I know that was a concern, so they won't be shading them or damaging them in
Or
any
blocking
way
them.
to protect
Exactly.
them. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. We are moving and grooving. 2024 Arbor Day celebration. What does that look like, Paul?
I am working with the principal. They're interested in doing it. And we're just going to start the meetings in January like we usually have, the planning meetings, so that we can be all ready to go in April. But it looks like it's going to be at Silvermine Elementary School.
Great. Great. Okay.
On that, Paul, are we included in that? Can we be? I mean, I know last year we did the books, but in the planning process, we'd probably like to be.
Yes. Oh, yes. We can definitely will invite you to the meetings.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay, and Jeff, that was actually perfect timing because you're up next. I was going to introduce your lovely invitation to the holiday party at Fodor Farm, 2nd annual, 4:30 to 6:30. It is a Sunday, December 10th. Is that right? What day of the week is the 10th, a Sunday?
Yep, that's a Sunday.
Light fare and cocktails will be served, people.
Light fare and cocktails, and then we do a sort of a wine grab with raffle tickets, which was kind of cool. We did last year, so we're looking to do that this year.
Fun, fun. Anything else we should know about?
That's really it. We're kind of at the end of our planting season, and I was just going to mention a combined effort with Paul to plant along Martin Luther King Drive went really well. So
Good.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And any other business?
I would just say, for the committee, just take a look at the red maples in front of Waypoint on East Avenue, not East Avenue, West Avenue.
West, yeah.
I mean, they're doing nicely, they're growing. I think they are irrigated, but they're heavy canopy, and that's a very wide sidewalk. Versus Wall Street Place, where the sidewalk's actually fairly narrow. Particularly.
Oh, just for like a kind of
Right.
sense of where,
Right.
yeah,
And
okay.
I'm trying to put some rationale in the way we think about things. So it's not just opinionated, if you will.
Peter, I was listening in on that, and everyone, that was a nice job. I don't know if you mentioned it, I may have missed it, but I believe those were all on the north side of the building too. So sun may be partial concern.
I think, well, it gets afternoon sun on that side, but.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know the building's kind of at an angle, so
Kind of
It's at a
it'll
weird
get sun,
angle.
but just yeah.
Wall Street's at an angle of itself. It's
And I'm also thinking if the train is there, even if it's not a privacy buffer, those trees might also provide a bit of a sound buffer.
there's also just not enough. I mean, if they're trying
There
to.
are trees there, right?
No,
existing?
he's talking the arborvitaes along the side of the building.
Mhm.
There's just, I mean, it's a very small number given the length of that wall, and you're showing them at the same size as a canopy tree, and they really don't do that.
Yeah, I think they were going in at 5 to 6 feet too on the schedule, so they'll be little guys.
Yeah, Paul was saying 7 feet. All right, well,
Yeah,
we'll
6
get
to
all our
7.
comments into Paul. And when do you want to say, by the end of the year, Paul?
Yeah, if you want to do that, because the next meeting is January 23rd. So if we do that by the
Well,
end
you're
of the
gonna
year,
need time to put it together in an email, send it out to him, have him take a look at it, and then decide whether or not he wants to come back in January. That's up to him.
Yeah.
Well, don't the comments technically go to him and zoning or building department?
well, what we'll do is copy zoning on it, because zoning, the planning commission referred him to the tree advisory
Us,
committee for review
right.
of the species as a condition of approval,
So I mean,
which
it's
is good.
part of the
We're making progress.
Did he mention who's funding that?
I'm not sure whoever, it's part of the project, right?
Yeah,
Are
the
they paying
developer.
for it or is it the town?
Project cost.
No, that's a developer. It's not the city.
All right, so by the end of the year, we'll get those out to Paul, and we'll, kind of go from there.
I think, Paul, check on what their zone, check on what they require in terms of the comment response. Because we can miss a deadline with the planning departments.
Yeah, I'll talk to Steve Kleppen again, because I wanted to verify, when I received the plan initially, I just wanted to verify that the zoning commission had referred it, and he did say they had referred it. So
I don't think we can wait to end the year.
I'll check with him, and then I'll let everybody know for a time frame.
Oh, you mean for us to have our comments back to Paul? Oh, well, Paul, yeah, I mean, if you know differently, please let me know.
I'll check
I mean,
with him
I'm just
because
throwing something out there, trying to be reasonable with people's schedules and holidays, but I mean, if you know something, please say something.
I'll check with Steve Kleppen, the director, and just see if they have a deadline, or if he needs an approval in hand to go back to the commission by a certain time. I'll let you know.
Right, just don't
Okay.
hold them up, because then it gets.
Yeah.
It gets sticky. No, I'm 100% with Peter. Thanks for bringing that up. All right, guys, great meeting. I move to adjourn.
We will
Okay.
chat.
Have a happy holiday, and we'll see everybody in January.
I'll let you know if there's snow in Litchfield tomorrow.
Hopefully.
We're doing borings on the green.
Good night,
Have a
everybody.
Have a good night.
All right.
Take care.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
Bye.